Sup fella Istarians, and welcome back in my dragon lair. Well, as promised, here is part 2 of the 3-part tutorial of Istaria Chronicles of the Gifted. This part is going to be about adventuring, which is probably the biggest part of Istaria. I'm just gonna quote Ractor here. To explain it, adventuring is the leveling up through fighting mobs, getting experience from them, and learn new abilities. You can also accept quests to get more experience and learn new abilities as a dragon. Side quests, trophy quests, and, well, the main quests. Most quests are going to be based on your adventure level though. Last time I explained you the character creation and the screen setup, but I forgot to tell you something. Currently we have the default screen, and you can actually change this theme by going to the options, video I think, and here, change the theme from default. There are a couple of different ones. Amethyst, apply. Then you get this amethyst colored theme here. Then there is emerald. This is more greenish, I'm sorry. Then garnet. This is more like red. And there is sapphire. Apply. I always tend to go with sapphire because blue is my favorite color. If I would restart the game now, the launch button would also change the form to a little sapphire. That's actually a little bit bigger than the launch button currently. But I don't have the time to reload currently. Well, actually, let's do it pretty quick. Just so you can see the nice launch button. I love this picture, by the way. Still. Lyseth just looks awesome. This is the town of New Trismus, which is going to be the next town after Skalkar. Oh, it already turned night, but now you see this nice little gem button that changed. Each theme has its own gem, so pick yours. Well, let's get started. Before we run off and go accepting our very first quest, I would suggest you to head over here to this little book shrine or whatever. Here you have some information pages, because this is a dragon information center. If you want to know something about Istaria and a little bit more than the tutorial is explaining, for example, the adult rite of passage, ancient dragons, the ancient rite of passage. But I need to tell you, these are all things that you're going to learn later on in the game as well through lore and other things actually. You can go through them if you wish to. It's just a nice information page. For example, the withered ages might be interesting you later on as well, because you're going to get into contact with them very often. Anyway. I think the players are going to be interested in us. See a little Spitfire over here. This exclamation mark. It's not supposed to be a question mark. I know it's boring, Spitfire. It's supposed to be an exclamation mark over her head. I hope you can identify it as an exclamation mark. Random hatchling jumping around and going its business. If you see this exclamation mark over her head, that means this character does have at least one available quest for you. It's also shown on the map. Hit the M key and let it load. This little dragon here is you, by the way. You see this exclamation mark here, Spitfire from the hatchling emissary. It has an exclamation mark as a point. That means there is a quest available. If there is a question mark over Spitfire's head or on the map, it means the character is, well, you have to talk to the character because it's the next step of the quest. I'm going to explain the map later to you a little bit closer, because it's not really important right now. You can't really get lost on Skalkar. To greet an NPC or another player, click at them and then you need to hit the greet button. You can also double click them or just hit the G key on your keyboard. I prefer to hit the greet button or double click at them. Greetings, my name is Spitfire. You must be a little bit confused, but I'm here to tell you that it is okay. Perfectly normal for your first return to be disorienting. I can fill you in on everything. Or I can show you the way to Karkath, the adventure trainer, if you want. But listen to me first. Now, this is the first quest in, well, bright blue. You have just woken up as a young hatchling sitting on a strange island you have no recollections of. The hatchling you speak to beckons for you to listen. Will you hear her tale? Accept. Well, let me explain myself. You are one of the gifted, which means you have been granted the ability to be restored after death to a special shrine such as the one you just woke up by. This also means that you just died, but have no fear, as one of the gifted, death is only an annoyance rather than the end. Now, this is the interesting part. Spitfire is telling you that you just died. What the hell? They're going straight for it. This is the shrine Spitfire was speaking of. Yeah, about the situation with the death. Each game kinda has the ability of you to die, but doesn't really have a real explanation for you why you are able to come back. You just hit the recall button or respawn button and you're alive again, and there's not a real explanation why. Istaria has actually a good explanation for why you're coming back. You're one of the gifted, and the gifted do have the ability to cheat death. It's going to be explained to you a little bit closer. Now, Spitfire has ended the dialogue, but the quest isn't over. If you see, this exclamation mark over her head turned into a question mark. Should be seen on the map as well. Come on, load map. This is a question mark over here now. I hope you can identify it as such. This means the next step is available for this character. You can continue the dialogue with Spitfire by clicking on this bright blue text. And she will keep talking. You may feel a bit weak after dying, but it will go away soon enough. Later, once you've grown and become more experienced, a nice meal will help get rid of the weakness pretty quick. Click on the blue text to continue. Right now, you and I are young, just hatchlings. We're smaller than most dragons. Oh, sorry for that. And we can't even fly. It's our birthright to soar the skies of Istaria. I have heard the others talk about how amazing it is to watch the mountains and waters pass beneath our wings, to feel the winds under our scales. I'm afraid now is not the time and you're not ready for that challenge. Soon perhaps, but for now you must learn to fight and craft, so that you will be ready when the time is right to ascend. Let us get started. You should go speak to my instructor Karkath. He's a great teacher that can show you how to defend yourself. He's a short walk along the path behind me and through those gates, but do be mindful as he's known to be a little eccentric. If you need help finding him, just talk to me again. I offer directions all around this forest. So, yeah. You could basically just go ahead and follow the path behind Spitfire, or you greet her again, and she will actually offer you directions to Karkath. Karkath is right behind me down the road into the volcanic area. Pass through the gate back here and he'll be to your left, only a short few steps down the road. Do you want me to guide you here? There? Yeah. And off Spitfire goes. Spitfire's actually a little bit slower than me, so you have to wait for her. Are you coming, Spitfire? You don't. You shouldn't go too far ahead. A little fun fact. If you don't follow her, she'll just stop and beckon you to get closer. Come over here. Come over here. That's cute. There. Just run right up the path in front of us. Karkath is the red dragon right there. Good luck, Cardia. Well, a quick good luck and off she goes. Thank you, Spitfire, for leading me here. Goodbye. So, we already know how to greet someone. It's a question mark over its head, so yeah, greet the dragon. Yes, hello. I'm Karkuth, your instructor for today. Well, any day really, depends on how quickly you learn. Speak to me again when you're ready to begin your first task, Cardia. So now it's an exclamation mark again. That means the next quest is available. Kill your first beast. Karkuth is giving you your very first task. Set out and finish it. Spitfire sent you over here. She's a very helpful apprentice. Maybe someday she'll take over and train the new arrivals for me. But for now, I am the fighting instructor and I will teach you how to fight against the monsters you will encounter in your travels. Oh, one more thing before we get started. I bet Spitfire forgot to explain you where the gift came from. She often does that in her excitement, so I'll enlighten you. Some time ago, when the races of Istaria had just about given up fighting against the hordes of undead, or enemies, the Withered Ages. That name's familiar. 2 members from a group known as the 8 Mages of Istaria performed a magical ritual called the Ritual of Life Everlasting. I think that's meant to be everlasting life. Originally, it was designed as a means to bring arcane forces against blight that plagues our land, the Withered Ages. The ritual was a failure, I suppose you could say, and did nothing to affect the power of blight on Prime. Instead, it changed the way of life for some randomly chosen citizens of Istaria, such as us. Some of us have been granted with the gift of virtual immortality, although not all of us were affected by this change. There was enough gifted to start a turn in the tide in the Withered Ages. You, dragon, are one of these chosen few. That is why you have woken up here. You experienced your first death, and thus your body and your soul reappeared here as all dragons gifted do after their first death. I am the first of many to have the honor to train you. For your first mission, I'm sending you to kill a single Skullcar Ruled. You can find them nearby Spitfire. Make sure to speak to her. She'll explain the basic attacks to you. Oh, here, take this journal with you. I've already recorded my quest for you in it. So, if you get lost or confused, you can just read what was last written. You can read that quest you have by opening your quest window. The default hotkey is L. If you remember, I reset my hotkeys to something else, so I'm just going to open it manual because I actually forgot the button. To open your quest log, hit the launch button. Yep, this gem actually has a name. It's called launch button, not gem button. And then you gotta search for quest. I always forget where it is. Quests. Here's Skullcar tutorial. Kill your first beast. The quests window is a journal of all the quests you have accepted but not completed. Your keyboard shortcut for the window is not bound currently. When you accept a quest, its name will appear in this list. So this one. Click the dash on the right to remove the quest. If you remove a quest without completing it, you can usually return to the quest giver to start it over, provided you still satisfy the prerequisites. I'm so bad at English, sorry. Prerequisites. Click the arrow on the left to show details about the quest. In each quest's details, you will see a brief overview, followed by a description of each individual step in the quest. The step you're working on at the moment will have a pulsing arrow next to it. As you complete each step, a check mark appears in place of the arrow. So this is the arrow and this is a check mark. When the final step is completed, the entire quest will disappear from this window and go to the completed quest section. Some quests can be undertaken more than once, but some cannot. Return to the quest giver if you would like to repeat a completed quest. So, our next step would be return to Spitfire and speak to her. You can always open this quest log window if you get lost or don't know what to do. That's pretty useful. I like to keep my quest window in sight so I don't have to open it constantly. because, yeah, currently no key is bound to it. Sorry if I seem a little bit quiet. I'm trying to concentrate and find Spitfire. So, question mark. Yeah, we're right here. You didn't tell him I called him eccentric, did you? Oh, thank Drollcar. Now, Drollcar, a little side information that you might find interesting. Drollcar is the dragon god of Istaria, the first dragon to enter this realm. Dragons originally come from the realm of fire, so they entered the realm of Prime and existed still out of fire. In order to survive, Drollcar made the dragons as they look like today. Only because of him we're capable of surviving in this realm here. So that's a pretty important role as the first dragon. He would have thrown me into the ocean for a remark like that. Karkath asked for me to explain the basic attacks. Well, I guess if he's too busy to explain them himself, I wouldn't mind helping out. You don't start off with much, sadly, but you do have the basic attacks, such as Bite and Fire Breath. If you want my advice, start off with Bite to cause some bleeding on your opponent, then follow up with Fire Breath to roast them. Swipe with your claws until you can repeat. Oh, you also know how to sprint too, in case you get stuck in a nasty situation and need a quick getaway. You will find these abilities in your character menu under the Abilities tab. The hotkey for character window is C by default. You can drag and drop attacks from the Abilities tab into your hotkey bar on the left side of the screen. So, let's open the character window with C. Under the Abilities tab here, you should open on General. Here's some basic information about yourself, like the Dragon Adventure level, the Dragon Craft level, your statistics, and some information about yourself. Now, under the Abilities tab are your abilities. As Spitfire said, you can just drag and drop them into your hotkeys, but not everyone. As you see, you have the type active and passive abilities. If you go with your mouse cursor over your abilities, the tooltip will open and you can read some information about them, such as Dodge, the passive ability, gives a chance to avoid attacks from the opponent you are currently engaged with. As a passive, you can't drag and drop it into your hotkeys, it's just not going to work. An active ability like Bite, on the other hand, tears into the enemy, causing a wound that deals damage over time. Let's go over the tooltip a little bit. When used, delay 25. I don't think this is meant to be in seconds, but I think milliseconds. Delay means it takes 25 milliseconds until the action is done, because you don't instantly hit something if you're swinging it at it with your arm. You need a little bit of time until you reach your target, and that's the same case in here. Recycle or cooldown as you want it. If you use one of your ability, it's set on the cooldown, and in this case, it will be 30 seconds. Well, recycle or cooldown, it's referred to as that. When you use the ability, you can't use it for 30 seconds. Whoops. Then the range is 0. That means you need to stand directly in front of your target. Plus 6 damage, and it converts damage into Pierce. Now, Pierce, what's that? It's an attack type, like Flame, Ice, or Slash. Some mobs are weak to a specific type of damage. But that will be more important for you later. If you're starting to fight bigger mobs, you want to be interested in what kind of weakness they have. New abilities will get unlocked with each level up, with a level up sometimes. You will get an information about it in main chat if you did reach a new ability, yeah. Now you have the adventure ability, your crafting abilities, we don't need them currently. Then the general abilities and 0 titles. Now I'm just gonna drag and drop Breath of Fire into hotkey 1. Sprint down here. Now you know why I have couple of hotkeys open because in the future we're gonna get a lot of abilities, and I want my spells and melee attacks a little bit split, not together in one hotkey. Then we have the bite, and acceleration is actually an ability you can only use when you're able of flight. So you have to get along with sprint as long as you're on the ground, because that increases the character's run speed for a short time. Now, our next quest is kill one Skullcar Grulet. They're over here. Istaria is a targeting game and almost entirely PvE. That basically means you need to click on an enemy and then on a button to do an attack and an animation or whatever. There is no left click to swing your sword, or in this case, bite your opponent. You can't attack other players, only in a specific area here in Istaria. But in Istaria you can attack from any angle, so you can face or show your butt to your opponent if you're currently fighting something. In Istaria you do have a basic attack, which constantly repeats itself until either you are dead or the enemy is dead. So the basic attack is triggered with this attack button up here. And your hatchling will start attacking this poor Skullcar Grulet. Now, it's repeating itself constantly. You don't have to do anything. And this is the basic attack. Now, it's a pretty weak attack. Your abilities, on the other hand, are stronger than the basic attack. You just need to remember the cooldown and manage your skills a little bit. If you remember Spitfire, he said you should go first with Bite, because Bite, if you remember, right click on the Bite icon down here and then show details. And you can get the tooltip as a window. It tears into an enemy and it leaves a debuff on it. The effect is called Minor Lacerations and it causes extra damage of 3 to 4 pierce directly for a duration of 15 seconds every 3 seconds. So your target is going to bleed out. Now click on your enemy and then bite it. Now it should start with the basic attack again because you stopped clicking any buttons. But your fire breath is also pretty strong. Now, sometimes if you're in bad luck, your dragon will stop doing the basic attack, so you have to hit the attack button. Not if this thing starts dodging. Alright. This is basically how you fight in Istaria. But yeah, remember, you need to manage your abilities. If you quickly run out of them, it's not a really good idea of surviving. Now, let's finish this last roulette, because now we get a level up. Now we're level 2. You're down here, the quest is already finished. You kill the Grulet, you should speak to Spitfire before heading back to Kharkov. And then we killed a couple of more Grulets and gained experience. Now you have advanced to level 2 in the Dragon Adventure School. You have gained the Silver Strike 1 ability. So there's a new ability available. Let's open the character window and search for it under Adventure. Now this is our new ability, Silver Strike 1. Be quick, merciless, and strike until they are dead. Few enemies will give you a second chance. Few will walk away once you have struck first. Anonymous. So Silver Strike is a little bit stronger than the other two as well. After a level up, you don't only get sometimes new abilities, you also get some training points. Click on the launch button and then go to training. This is the training window. Here you can spend training points that you have earned. The number of training points you have is based on your highest adventure school level. The number of training points you have available to spend is shown at the top and again on the bottom. The bottom display also shows how many you have allocated this session. You can spend your training points to increase any of the skills and attributes listed here. The costs vary depending on which statistic you raise. Click on the arrows on either end of a statistic bar to indicate that you wish to spend more or less on that choice, so these two. You can only spend half of your points on any one statistic, so you will have to choose at least two. Note that changes you make will not take effect until you click OK, so feel free to experiment with your available points until you get the balance you like. A reset button is available to undo all the changes you have made, but not yet applied with the OK button. Sometimes you may wish to buy back some of the training points you have previously spent. You can do this simply by clicking on the down arrow on something you had increased previously. However, you are limited in how much of this you can do at any time with buyback points. Buyback points will slowly, about 1 point every 5 minutes, increase over time to a maximum of 1/4 the total number of training points you have ever earned. This makes untraining a slow process, so it is best to choose wisely when spending your training points in the first place. That's it for the training point system. If you are uncertain what you should spend your training points on, here are some basic suggestions. You can read through them all. I know what I'm going to take. It's going to be strength. Physical force and effectiveness increases damage with physical attacks and improves physical demanding craft skills. And tooth and claw allows a monster or dragon to attack effectively with no weapons equipped. So basically these two make higher damage if you choose them. On basic combat. Now click just on OK if you're satisfied. Well, now you know how to fight. This tab targeting type of combat was much more common back in 2003, but tab targeting doesn't necessarily mean a leak of strategy. I already told you, some abilities work with each other and some don't at all. For example, Gold Rage and Ice Breath, two abilities you will earn later on your adventures. Gold Rage applies a debuff Crippled, and Ice Breath slows the attack speed of your enemies, so you need to decide which one you want to apply on them. Before we continue with the quest, I want to show you something. While combat, it may occur that you get outnumbered or overpowered by, I don't know, maybe skeletons from the Withered Ages, and you forget to check your health bar. You will pay the price for it. Death. Let me show what I mean. If you remember what Spitfire told you, death is only an annoyance. But it's still annoying, yeah. What I'm doing is fighting multiple crawlets here at the moment. If you manage to kill them all, you get more experience for fighting a couple of enemies at the same time. It's useful if you want to grind some experience later. If you get hurt too much, go out of the battle and sit down. Sitting down will increase your health faster, but I want to show you death. Die, dragon. Die! Eh. Die! Come on! And that we are. This was your first death, so let's take a moment and discuss it. Death is commonplace in Istaria, and sometimes difficult to avoid. Since you are gifted, you are able to cheat death. You can recall back to your last binding point, and you will be healed and back to full strength. Until you reach level 20 in your adventuring school, death is but a minor inconvenience in your daily routine. An interruption that is soon overcome by running back to where you were and continuing on. However, once you reach level 20 in your first adventuring school, it all changes. Death becomes more severe, with the introduction of death points and death penalty. Death points are an indicator of how many times you have died and determine the severity of your death penalty. Death points will naturally fade after many hours, but you can accelerate the process by eating food prepared by confectioners. The death penalty is an increasingly severe reduction in your attributes based on the number of death points you have accumulated at the time of your death. The duration of the death penalty varies, but at its maximum duration can last up to 1 hour. The severity of the death penalty also varies, growing worse with each additional death up to a maximum penalty of 75%. What does this mean for you right now? Not very much. Take this opportunity to learn more about the game, your character, and the world. In taverns, you can buy food from confectioners, and through eating food, you can reduce your death points. Well, what they don't explain is where you find your recall button. If you hit this recall button up here, your body and soul will be restored to the shrine that you were bound to. And in this case, it's the Skull Car Head shrine here, right next to Spitfire. Chocolate is a dryad's best friend. And welcome back to life, little hatchling. If you check your character window now, under General, currently we don't really get any death points from dying because the death penalty doesn't really mean anything for us. But after level 20, our death points will count up here, and they decrease really slow. So you don't want to gain any. That's pretty important for you. Well, now that this annoyance is got past, we better go and continue with our quest. If you remember, Spitfire was watching you kill that Grullet pretty eagerly. Go talk to her, see what she thinks. Let's greet her. Nice job killing that Grullet. Yeah, and you're yawning right into my face. I don't think that you're impressed, buddy. You took it down fast. I bet Karkath won't be expecting you back for a few minutes still. Hey, speaking of him, did he tell you about the gift? Tell me what he told you. So, next quest. The Grullet Tusk. Karkath has now sent you against the Grullet again, though this time it's to obtain a Grullet Tusk from one of the fallen Grulets. So, as he said, Karkath mentioned the Withered Ages. Skullcar is safe because we're on an insignificant island far away from the mainland. But I often hear stories about the horrible rise of the undead and unsightly abominations. Karkath told me it's all because of a naka-duskael, or unscaled in the common tongue. Dragons often refer to the unscaled races or the non-dragon races as bipeds or naka-duskael. I don't know how to speak that because Istaria actually has its own dragon language. You will stumble upon it more often in the roleplay shard named Order. It's pretty interesting. I want to learn one or two words of this language. I can't even pronounce its name properly, so better ask other players. Named Torin Malakir. Once a brilliant sorcerer and leader of human society, he became corrupted by the use of dark magic of necromancy and started this whole mess. He single-handedly unified the forces of the undead against the Empire. Can you believe that? A single human almost caused the destruction of our entire world. You should return to Karkath and speak to him about your quest now before he walks down here himself to check on you. Yeah, because it would be so horrible if we die. Stop yawning, Spitfire. I'm not that boring. Whoop-de-doo, we're gonna get our next quest. Oh, yeah. Auto travel and sprint, maybe. I keep forgetting to use sprint. It's way faster. You can travel on roads to get the road bonus. By the way, up here in your effects window, you see your current effects. Right-click on them and show details. For example, I still have sprint and the road bonus. If you remember, traveling on roads in this area is faster. Now, let's continue. Welcome back. Did you kill a Skullcar Grullet? Excellent. So now that you have learned how to use the basic attacks and had your first kill, I want you to go back down to the Grulets and carefully remove one of their tusks, and then return it to me. It might take a few tries before you can remove a tusk without breaking it, for they are rather fragile, especially in the claws of a dragon. Oh, wait before you go. Here, take this bell. It will look nice in a young dragon's hoard. Dragons are often found collecting shiny objects and little trinkets to add to their hoard, which we use to power some of our attacks to fight our enemies more efficiently, while also building up our armor so we take less damage. Some abilities require Hoard to use, such as Silver Strike. If you remember, we learned Silver Strike on leveling up to level 2. Right-click, add an item in your inventory and add it to your Hoard again to gain Hoard points. You can see how many Hoard points you have acquired by checking your equipment window, CT or L and E. Now I have the equipment window on E, so I can open that faster. Let's first open our inventory. The inventory window is where you will find all the belongings you carry in your backpack. Your current keyboard shortcut for the inventory window is I. The view button toggles between list view and grid view. So this one, list view and grid view. In grid view, your items are displayed as icons, like the bell we just get. In list view, they are listed by name. In list view, you can click any column heading to sort the list on that column. I'm gonna try that later. To select the range of rows at once, click the top row, hold shift, then click the bottom row. All rows in between this will be selected. In grid view, the auto arrange button will rearrange the contents of your scale pack so that the icons fill the space more efficiently. If you click this, the bell is going back at the top, so it's more efficient. We only have one item currently, so that's not really important. Maybe later if our inventory is stuffed until the explosion. This button is not available in list view. If you're looking at the contents of a container within the container, so if you have a pouch inside your inventory, this button will move the inventory view up one level. For instance, if you're looking at the contents of a backpack pouch that is inside your starting scale pack, this button will change the view to show the contents of the starting scale pack. This button opens the equipment window, allowing to see the items you are wearing in addition to the items you are carrying. So this one. I can easily open the equipment window with E as well, the key E. And yeah, this is your equipment window. Currently, our hoard size is 0. Sad. To use the special power of an item, such as a potion, select the item and click the Use Item button, this up here. This button is not available if selected item has no special powers. Click the Equip Item button to wear, will, or otherwise equip a selected weapon, tool, backpack, cargo disc, or piece of armor or jewelry. This is not important to us right now because we don't have anything to equip. I'll explain it later to you. This is also a button that will only interest crafters later on. Separate selected items. It's basically pretty easy. If you have a stack of items, you can click on this button, select how many you want to separate, and then you will have 2 different stacks. And this is a delete button. You can click on the item and then hit the delete button if you want to delete something. Any of the actions associated with the buttons in the upper right can also be performed by right-clicking the item and selecting the action from the pop-up menu. If you have any more questions about the inventory window, you can always hit the Learn About window, and this blue window opens itself. The capacity bar shows how full the current container is. Hover the mouse pointer over the capacity bar to see a tooltip with exact numeral informations. So, bulk capacity of us is currently 1000, and the bell has 1 bulk. And the item stack capacity is 300. We can carry 300 items currently. The capacity bar for your equipment backpack is also displayed in the status window. When gathering, it's possible... Oh, I'm gonna explain that later to you. So, yeah. I don't want to stuff your head with everything possible right in the first moment. So, to hoard something, go into your inventory and we got this nice bell from Karkath. If you open the tooltip, the silvered bell, a remarkably decorated bell, etched with an image of Sleeper's Peak as it appeared in the old stories. This has a hoard value of 800. Right click at it and click on Add to Hoard. Now you can add more stuff into this window by right clicking on it and adding it to hoard if you had more stuff to hoard. Now just click on Add to Hoard. The bell will disappear out of your inventory and it will add its hoard value to your hoard size. And you see our hoard is growing already. I like the picture. In the default the picture is not really nice, but in this blue theme, the sapphire theme I have, you actually have some colors inside your own hoard. Now, as you know, some attacks are powered by your hoard, as Karkath explained. Without hoard, you can't use attacks like Silver Strike. Right click at it and show details. When you see down here, hoard cost. So Silver Strike costs you 5 points of your hoard. That means we can actually use Silver Strike a couple of times before we can't. But I would suggest you to constantly increase your hoard, because your most powerful attacks as a dragon are powered by your hoard. For example, Gold Rage. This name will sound more and more familiar to you later on when we reach the mainland of Istaria. Don't worry about that right now. Yeah, never stop hoarding. You can get new hoard by looting, and that's what we're going to do next. I'll be waiting for you to return with that skull ruled tusk. Good luck. So, let's go and kill that poor little Grulet. Use a sprint to be faster. I actually like how Arcadia turned out. She's looking pretty dark, just as her father, not like her mother. Now click at it and choose the attack type you want. Now let's use the Silver Strike. Bam! Nice animation, by the way. Now, after you killed this poor Grulet who didn't do anything to you, you see this shining little point over the dead body. That means there's something to loot. Just right click at whatever you want to loot, and you can either choose loot all at once, browse the loot first, and gather stuff from it. Gathering stuff from animals is more important for bipeds, so we're gonna browse the loot. Now you see what's inside or what you can loot. Now here is an animal bone, which you can sell later. It's nothing you can hoard, sadly, but keep it still. You can sell it to a pawnbroker, and that gives you money. And this little thing here is the wild Grulet task we need. I just click on everything and the quest is being updated. You've looted a Skullcar Grulet task. Return to Karkath. Now, we could return to him, but I have a tip for you for easy looting. Let's kill another Grulet. Fight my butt. I have a tip for you for easy looting. You can create your very own hotkey to make looting easier if you want to. Right click at the hotkey and edit hotkey. Well, you have to choose any of yours. Now, this may be a little bit confusing for you at the first time, but I'm going to explain it to you. You can edit hotkeys to do whatever you want to do. Cast a spell, use abilities, use items, open a window, open formulas, whatever you want. What we need is the action, and in action details, we're going to put in loot. Now, click the plus button, and it's inside the hotkey actions now. You can give the tooltip a name. If you hover over the hotkey, the name will be displayed, and you can give it a little picture down here. I want... Where is it? I keep losing this little picture each time, even though it's obvious. I want this picture. Now, we click on save. If we hit... if we click at this Skullcar Grulet we just killed, we can... hit the loot button and it opens automatically. Now we can take everything, and we got a damaged animal skill and another Grulet tusk. Actually, let me show you something. Now you can't go ahead and browse the loot anymore sometimes. You can hit the question mark button if you have questions about anything, by the way. I think I already explained that in the screen setup, but it's always good to know that Istaria is helping you anytime and you can redo your tutorial at any time. So, that's basic information about the loot window and how to make a shortcut of looting so you don't have to right click and take everything, and yeah, that's the easy way of looting. So now we got what we needed. Some things in our inventory, we can't hoard them by right clicking on them, only destroy it, show some details and customize its name, I don't know why. These two items are sellable, both tier 1 items. If you have stuff in your inventory like a snout, wait, maybe we get one? Quickly. Kill it. Kill it with fire. Hit the loot key. Yeah, here is actually Gruelet Snout, which you can add to your hoard. Right click on it and add it to your hoard. That's a value of 80. Loot and hoard. Never stop hoarding, remember that. If you have a high enough hoard, your basic armor actually goes up as well. It's good to know. So, yeah. I don't know how big Pryzm's hoard is, but I'm gonna inform you about that later. Now, anyway, go back to Karkath and we can take our next quest. Oh nice, we got a little bit of silver. Open your inventory. Down here is your money. We got one silver coin. 1,000 coins will be the next upper coin. So 1,000 copper coins are 1 silver coin, 1,000 silver coins are 1 gold, and so on. I never had a mithril coin. That's my goal on Pryzm, by the way. Welcome back, young one. I see you have successfully removed a tusk from one of the Gruelets. Congratulations. The next task I require of you are more dangerous, and because of this I'm sending you over to Geminoth's lair. You should learn the basics of crafting and create yourself some armor just to make sure you don't end up, well, dying. Accept the next quest. Visit Geminoth. Karkath has more challenging tasks for you in the future, but for now he requests you to visit Geminoth and learn to craft your own equipment. Follow the path up the road until you reach the arch. There should be a sign that says crafting. Just walk up the hill and you will find Geminoth's lair. Speak to the dragon Malamer at the top of the hill. He can guide you to Geminoth from there on out. If you get lost, the hatchling Balaner can show you the way. She sits alongside the path nearby the garnet gems you will pass. You can also always speak to me or Spitfire again if you need directions somewhere. So, I got a little fun fact for you from now on. You often have to travel some distances for some quests, and I already told you about the sprint button. But there's actually another option for hatchlings to get along their way. Just use your jump button if you're heading down a hill and your hatchling is starting to glide. It's a nice way of traveling. Hatchlings can't fly yet. They need to earn the right to soar the skies of Istaria through a big quest line, which I'm going to attend with you in this Let's Play as well. Don't worry. I'm going to be playing at least until that point. And there's of course a sprint button for faster traveling. Here are the garnet outcroppings. And this is the hatchling you could ask for directions if you want to. Just keep heading east. Geminoth crafting instructor. Now I already closed the tutorial, but you should get a blue window here informing you that Geminoth, not Karkath, is up here. Don't fall off the cliff. And up here's Malamer. Greet him. Greetings, hatchling. I am Malamer, Geminoth's apprentice. I've learned to not bother Geminoth when she's busy, but if you do have business with her, go ahead and cross the bridge. She should be right there still, unless she ran away, of course. That would be a bit of a problem if she ran away, though. Another fun fact, you can glide over bridges. Just jump while being on a bridge, and your hatchling will start gliding over it. I don't know why, it's just fun to do. And over there we see Geminoth. Compare the size of Karkath, Malamur, and Malamur to Artisan Geminoth. There are 2 stages a hatchling can reach, adulthood and ancienthood. Malamur and Karkath are half the size of Artisan Geminoth, and she is an ancient. Pretty big. Malamur, for the last time, I don't have any... Oh, you're not Malamur. Well, I'll introduce myself then. I am Artisan Geminoth. I teach new hatchlings how to craft armor and spells in order to defend themselves against the horrible monsters that plague our beautiful land. The crafting system of Istaria is a really unique one. Some don't like it because Istaria is an old game. In adventuring and in crafting, both means grinding sometimes, so you get to your next level. I like it this way. It's a challenge, and that's what most players are turned off by, sadly. As you see, the next quest is Skullcard Tutorial 5, craft a Skullcard Dragon Claw. And thus it's a craft quest, and that will be topic for part 3, crafting. That means I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful in some way, and I hope I see you in the next part 3, crafting. Having said that, until next time.
I thought underneath our thumb.